Hey guys, BAKD here. Today I'm going to be going over an extremely odd build for a succubus. I did make this a fairly practical build as well. It is usable in a sense for specific reasons, I guess, and we'll go over that in just a second. I did get this idea from HaroHobbyGaming. I just watched his video with his Daredevil, and I thought I would try this out with the succubus. So let's get right into the build. I do have Haro's YouTube linked in the description. You should definitely check out his Daredevil video. It was pretty interesting, to be honest. So if we open up our fittings here, it's pretty standard. I got C-type small pulse lasers. I have 2 disruptors because I'm going to be intercepting in this ship, and a predator web of fire just in case. Down below, I have a small shield booster, a C-type adaptive and vulnerability field, and the kicker is a Mark 7 medium micro warp drive. This thing will kick this ship's ass. This thing gets up to about 8,000 meters a second with this baby on there. If you don't have the correct power grid, you can move this down to a Mark 5 and you go slightly slower. I think you save about 14 power grid, but I'll kind of show you how I got that to happen. Now, tank wise, I just did a standard tank build on the succubus because you want to survive as long as you can. I did an EM and thermal to fill in the gaps. I did a activation time. Even with the pulse lasers, it gives a little bit more DPS doing the activation time than the actual collision. If you see here, 337 to 325. Now for this build, I'm going to recommend the collision accelerator, the damage bonus, because you don't want to be shooting faster. You want to shoot less and save more of your capacitor, and I think that will be the optimal build. If you do a activation time, you are going to be shooting faster and using more of your cap. That's one reason why I like the alpha hits over the activation time on the succubus, just for capacitor management, especially for this type of untraditional build. It did only increase my capacitor by 3 seconds, but I think it definitely helps, especially when you're getting low on cap and the recharge rate goes through the roof. Down below, 100% you need an inertia modifier. I would recommend 2 of them, but you can't do it with the power grid, even with the Mark 5 micro warp drive. It just doesn't allow it. So I did 2 tier 3 power grids just to get upwards in the 168 power grid to fit all of this stuff. I was able to completely fit this ship to the tooth with the best gear possible, except for the micro warp drive, of course. But yeah, let's undock and take a quick look at it, and I'll try it out in Anomaly and see if it's even practical or not. Alright, so let's head into this, let's see, this T8 Anomaly here and see if this is even practical. I'm going to warp in at 40.
Warp drive active.
Takes forever to warp. So, like I was saying, I don't think you could do the beam lasers on this ship with that micro warp drive because the tracking speed is so slow. You wouldn't hit anything. Let's go ahead and orbit at 4. Turn these off. Okay, let's get up to speed and see if we can even orbit this. web them up. So we are slingshotting the rat. We are orbiting around 4,000 meters a second. Doesn't look like anything can even hit us. Well, they're all missiles. It seems like they're hitting us. We are doing a little bit of damage. We'll probably have to slow down. Let's go to 4,000. Okay, so when we slow our speed down to 4,000, we are orbiting at 2,400. Let's go up just a little bit more, up to 5,000. Okay, this is the part where we need to orbit. Let's just orbit at 0. Doing some pretty good damage. Now our capacitor is running dry. Let's go ahead and just speed it up, orbiting at 0. So we're actually staying pretty tight orbit here. As long as we don't get scrammed. And of course we're about to run out of juice any second. So I think that is viable. Let's just kind of orbit out a little bit. Okay, let's turn that off, turn this off. Okay, let's orbit at 25. Okay, engage this baby. So this is what I wanted to attempt, is tackling somebody going this speed. You are definitely going to slingshot them. And I'm at 25 kilometers, and I'm not even keeping close to that Guardian. I'm slingshotting way off. So let's orbit at 15 kilometers. Gonna have to kind of guess your orbits on this. Okay, 15 kilometers. I got them disrupted. Now, if these people were smart, they would be able to slingshot. They would approach and then basically go away from you, and they would be able to get out of your disruption. But we are going 5,000 meters a second, so they're not going to escape much. We can even orbit a little bit closer at 14. Okay, that's good. Let's go into 11. Now this is a Predator warp disruptor. So you see we're at 30 kilometer range, so as long as we're well within that 30, I would comfortably say 11 to 12 kilometers. We can go to 12 there. Yeah, and these people were going so damn fast that they can't hit us. And it looks like our capacitor is keeping up. It's recharging fast enough to keep our micro warp drive on. You could definitely put a CCC or a what we talked about earlier, whatever they're called, engineering, navigation. You can do a dynamic fuel valve negative 40% capacitor adjustment, or capacitor need adjustment. That would probably keep your ship cap stable. We will have our resistances on at the same time. Yeah, our capacitor only says 1 minute there. But it seems like we can comfortably just recharge, kite them, and good to go. If we put beam lasers on this, over the pulses, the tracking speed is just much too slow. You probably won't be able to hit it all. But the main point of this build is tackling twice as fast as an interceptor. And then you can go in once you're ready. Let's orbit it at 0. Let's get in there. Our cap's probably going to get drained. But we wait for it. We'll web them and then shoot them right at the right time. Do some damage. Once we start getting that tight orbit. Any second now. Yep, there we go. We're well within range to do damage, and we're going so fast that it's going to be hard for them to hit us. If they web us, we're going to be going probably around 1,500 meters a second still, even with the micro warp drive. The only downfall to this build is if you get scrammed, you're pretty much a sitting duck. So unless you have a giant team coming to help you, I probably wouldn't engage until then. Now you see we are completely a sitting duck now. We have 0 cap, and this is what would happen if we're scrammed. We would just be going 500 meters a second. If we're webbed, we'd be going like 100 meters a second. Alright, wait for our capacitor to get back up. It's recharging fairly quick because we have max skills, but there we go. We are off. Off like a herd of dirty turtles. Woo, baby. Alright. Well, that's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is a very odd build, but it is definitely viable in some cases. But yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Alright, so I just wanted to show this really quick. The inertia is a necessity with this build. You have to have it, or you'll just be flying badass crazy everywhere. But I did stick a 20% flight velocity adjustment on there, just to kind of showcase the maximum speed we can get. The inertia helps the acceleration, the cornering, everything on this ship. But we can get to 9,200 meters a second. That is just insane. I think this is the fastest frigate in the game. Guaranteed. Woof. Holy smokes. So if you want to create a safe spot, pop a micro warp drive on a succubus with with all these crazy rigs on them, and yeah, you'll have a safe spot in seconds. Let's
Warp drive active.
Oof. Man, we're just flying. So the warp preparation time is extremely high. Let's just see. 2.26. Let me undock really quick and just see if that changes with the micro warp drive on. Okay. Now it does, woof, it does affect our warp preparation time, 14 seconds. That's pretty intense. That's a lot of preparation with all the negative bonuses of this. Capacity, signature radius. Let's just see our targeting. We're at 141 signature radius. So we are through the roof. Just about anything can hit us, but I think our speed will at least allow us to mix most of our shots. Whew, I bounced off the station. I was going so fast. Alright, so just for a quick test here, I'm going to try to make the fastest succubus in Eve Echoes. Now, if we look at how I have her fit, I just put some inertia things to get to speed faster. Now I slotted 3 tier 4 flight velocity 25%. This is not in the game currently. This is done on the test server. So you get a slightly slower result, but you can slap pretty much 3 tier 3s, and I think you go a little bit less. You can slot a power grid rig in one of these spots, but it seems like these get the best bonus versus the thruster I have. I have a Federation Navy medium micro warp drive. The power grid is 144, and I only have 140 on this micro warp drive. Go 558% faster. So let's just kind of check out how fast we can go on this baby. With this build, you cannot slot any weapon modules because you don't have enough power grid, so this is not practical at all. You could slot 3 disruptors in these slots and potentially just intercept ships in these and just go like a bat out of hell and just orbit all crazy. So I don't know how practical it is, but let's go ahead and engage. Let's get these going. And let's see how fast we can get to speed. Whew. 0 to 10K and holy smokes. In what, 6 seconds? So when it hits 10 km, it starts going up by 1 km a second instead of actual like hundredths place or whatever you want to call it. Whew. So let's see. 12,412 meters a second. Holy smokes. You can get safe spots in this baby in seconds. Let's go ahead and approach. Oof. Made a little bank there. Man, we're flying. I bet we could fly to the station in no time. Only 1 million kilometers away. Look how much speed we're burning off there. Oof. Holy smokes. We are 720 away. Let's go ahead and try to bank. Let's see how slow it goes when we bank. Down to 2,000. Yeah, this completely isn't practical. Holy smokes. We are just flying. Let's get up to speed. Woo, 12 km a second. Holy smokes. Alright, that's enough. Let's move on. Alright, and our last and final build here. Of course, everything is exactly the same. Small C-type, vulnerability shield. But I stuck a C-type medium afterburner on. Now, I didn't need to increase my power grid for this. You can typically fit 1 medium module on a Succubus without the extra power grid. Down below I did the same thing. Damage for the alpha hits and less capacitor need and 2 tanks. You can increase this more if you wanted. You don't need as much tank, but I like the tanky builds. Now down below I did 3 inertia modifiers. Oops. 3 inertia modifiers. Now these do have a penalty. I think it goes down to like 15 and then 10%, but it's a total of like what, 35 to 40% inertia modifier with 3 of them on there. See, our warp preparation time is 1.33 seconds. That's just like an interceptor. 2-minute capacitor, which is pretty good, but you want to be nice and close in a close orbit with this afterburner. Going to undock really quick. Now with the Succubus, of course, if you look in the bonuses here, you get all damage, but you get a 20% afterburner velocity bonus per advanced frigate command bonus. I am 555 in that, so it completely is maxed out. So let's just engage this. The inertia modifier will help us get to speed faster and bank faster, etc. Okay, so this is pretty good with a afterburner 6100. I'm going to probably pop one velocity on there and check it as well. We retain our low signature radius though at 24 meters. So let's go ahead and head back into our anomaly.
Warp drive active.
Okay, let's go ahead and target. Let's target the Drake. Let's go and add 0. Okay, we have good inertia, so let's see how far we slingshot. Okay, we slingshotted them at 10, so it's going to be hard to get our orbit. Yeah, we're kind of doing like an egg-shaped. We're not speed tanking very well either. So we do have them webbed 3. And we jump out to about 6 kilometers. We're still doing kind of like an egg-shaped. Let's go to 2. See if we can get a better orbit going. Alright, this is looking a little bit better. And our capacitor is keeping up a lot better than that micro warp drive. We're applying some good damage. We have them disrupted. We have this on. Let's just kind of pop our small shield and get some of our shields back. So let's orbit at 3. So we're comfortably orbiting around 3,000 meters a second. Yeah, that's no good. We went out to 1. Let's try 1 kilometer. Orbit at 1. So it still says we're orbiting at 0, but seems like we got a pretty good orbit on it. Our web, potentially having 2 webs is pretty necessary too to keep the target locked into place. We don't have to worry about being scrammed with this build. And if we want to shoot off, we can. If we get webbed and even if we get double webbed, we should be able to break out of it. As long as you carry 1 web along with you, I think your speed will only drop to about 1200, maybe 1400. Now our capacitor is looking fairly good. If we kept repping, we would be dropping fairly low on the capacitor. Alright, that does it for our last build. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was extremely untraditional. Well, the afterburner build was pretty traditional, I guess, in some cases. But it was just kind of showcasing the 3 inertia modifiers and seeing how much work they can do. Potentially slapping a velocity on there. Well, you know what? I'm going to go slap one on there and we'll just see really quick. I'll be right back. Alright, so I slapped that auxiliary thruster on there, 20%. Just see our warp preparation time went to 1.5 seconds. With a medium afterburner, medium micro warp drive, I would definitely recommend the 3 inertias. going a little bit faster isn't really worth the sloppiness of this. Let's just see. Yeah, 6,900 meters a second, which is pretty intense. But the extra, what, 800 meters a second over the inertia needed to control this thing, I don't think is worth it. 6,000 meters a second is just fine. You can sneak up on interceptors. You can scram them. They can scram you, and you can still get away. As long as you don't slingshot them, you can orbit them at 1, web them, kite them, and they are pretty much screwed. So, on a side note, this is definitely a interceptor killer. But yeah, again, thanks HaroHobbyGaming. His link is in the description. Be sure to check out his Daredevil video. He gave me the idea for this, and it is just absolutely incredible. I appreciate it, my friend, but other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.